So after you've set your line art layer to multiply so that all the color behind it bleeds through the white, um, I have my gradient, my background, my gradient on my background, and that's where that's going to stay. And if you ever wanted to change the colors or directions, that's fine. The background is going to stay on this layer, but every other color that you're going to apply, such as onto the Batman or onto the rocks that he's standing on, it's going to go on the color layer. We're going to keep those separate. So there's so many different ways of filling in color. I've noticed that the easiest way to do something like this is just to utilize the brush tool to fill in all your color. And it could be very hard to see your lines because we just filled in the background with that gradient and it's pretty dark, so like all the lines and stuff are hard to see. So I'm just going to hide that background layer so that I can see my artwork, and I can always bring that back, of course. So keep in mind all the other color that I'm adding to the Batman and the rocks is going to go on my color layer. Nothing goes onto your line art. The only thing that goes on your line art is the image itself, and that's set to multiply. The color layer set to normal, background set to normal, that is it. Nothing on this. Color from the Batman and the rock on that layer, and the background with the gradient on it, which we just did. So this is where you are going to become the artist. Right now, my foreground is set to like a dark blue. I may not want a dark blue. I'm going to start painting in the Batman suit. So maybe I want some type of, start with black, and then maybe instead of like solid black like all these other lines are, because we're going to utilize these black lines as part of our line art, as part of our shadowing. So instead of going that dark, maybe I want to go a little bit lighter and then hit OK. And I can always change this stuff later. So with that type of black selected, I'm going to use my brush tool, and I'll use a hard brush to brush in my color, and I'll worry about soft brushes when I'm doing my shadowing and highlighting. But I'm just going to start painting in black, and I'm going to do that because I think that's just too dark. Maybe I want to go a little bit lighter like that, and then hit OK and see how that goes. So that's a little bit better. I like that because you can still see your line art lines. And then you're literally just going to brush it in like this and utilize those bracket keys. This is going to be very important, utilizing those bracket keys when you're brushing in your colors and stuff like that. But we're just filling in the color. That's the first thing you're going to do. Don't worry about the shadowing and highlighting. Get the whole entire thing colored in. And this might take some time, so sit back and enjoy the video. The majority of this is going to be probably the same color, the same black, because the Batman suit is black. So that part's going to be easy. If you're doing something like this, maybe instead of painting the whole entire thing with one solid brush and all that, this is where you know everything that you learned up to this point. If I'm on my line art and I make a selection on the background, try the magic wand so that the background is selected. I'm going to shift click on that part of the background, do a select inverse, and then see what happens when I option delete. Oops. Make sure you're on your color. Option delete. There we go. So that's a different way of doing something. If you're having difficulty with the technique that I just showed with the magic wand, I selected the background and then I reversed my selection so that the Batman was selected, and I put my color in there. Just continue to paintbrush it in, but doing it that way assured me that the whole entire thing is painted in black, and then it saved a step actually. I think the only thing that I'm not going to be painting black is like his belt right here and his face. So I can always select a skin color. Try to go somewhat darker. See what that does. I can always change it, but I'm going to zoom in and then brush in a skin tone on his face. So what's happening is I'm literally painting over where I had it black. Because I'm utilizing my paintbrush and I'm on my color layer, I'm actually getting rid of that black and I'm replacing it with that skin tone. Just like that. And then I'll change colors, maybe do some type of dark brown, and maybe brush in these little things there. Necessarily don't have to utilize that color. Pick a different color. I'm just going to color in his belt. And I could always darken that up when I do my shadowing and highlighting too. So all I did was utilize my brush tool and made sure I was on my color layer, and I messed up because I had undo because I accidentally put the color on my line art. Been doing this for a long time and I still do that, but you got to be very, very careful where you put your color. So make sure you put it on your color layer. After I filled in the Batman, just solid color, I'll go back and do my shadowing and highlighting last. I'm going to pick a gray color. And I could probably maybe do some selections. It's kind of open right there, but I'm just going to use my brush, make sure I'm on my color layer, and I'm just going to brush in some gray because this is going to be the color of my rock. Get the edges first. Try to not hit Batman's boot. I can always size my brush down and get those little touch-ups. I'll fix that. I'll erase it. Size my brush up, bracket keys. Size it down. You want to make sure you get rid of all that white space. No white space. It's got to be all covered. And then you'll notice that I got outside of my lines right there. Let me touch up this area. Get all that. No white space. You can utilize your eraser tool, which is located right here. And then it's a brush, so you can use your bracket keys to size it down, and you can erase the stuff that you don't want. Just like that. I get over here too. And then zoom out and bring my background back up. And just to show you, just coloring the line art right now. I've applied my colors to the rock, the Batman, the skin tone, all that stuff. And just by coloring it in like that is a huge difference. You go from something like this to something like this just by adding some color and making sure your layers are set up correctly. And we're nowhere near done because now once you get the coloring done, we're going to move on to the shadowing and highlighting.